back to Let's Talk Tarot with Friends. I am Celia, and today we're diving into the chilling true crime horror Dorothea. Now, this story is based on the real life death house landlady who turned her boarding house into a house of horrors. Now, joining me today is director Chad Ferrin, who brings the story to life with dark humor, bright visuals, and just the right dose of dread. So let's dig into the garden and uncover the secrets of Dorothea. Hello, Chad. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming to talk to me. We're going to get into it in a second, but if you could introduce yourself, a quick 1 to 2 sentences about, who you are and what you do.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me. I'm Chad Ferrin, writer-director of Dorothea, Ed Kemper, Pig Killer, numerous other horror films, but true crime seems to be the direction I'm in now. So I'm sticking with it and having fun doing it.
All right, awesome. So, of course, we are here today to talk about Dorothea. Now, can you tell me how you came across this particular person? Because when people think of serial killers, you have the big ones. You have Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, all these big guys. But this is a grandma. Where did she come from? Because I can tell you that I don't recall ever hearing about her. So I'm like, oh, this lady's new. And I went in my own little Wikipedia looking up everything I could about her. So tell me how you came across this idea.
Well, a friend of mine, Gerard McMahon, who had done the score for Pig Killer, and he's a, you know, big musician, and tons of songs. The Lost Boys, Cry Little Sister. I mean, it's one of his huge hits. But he's been around forever, and it's a friend of mine. And I found out he was friends with Sharon Stone, and he was like, yeah, she's over right now. We're working on a song for her, and whatnot. And I started thinking, I'm like, Sharon Stone, maybe he can get a script to Sharon Stone. She'd love it, whatever. So I started researching female serial killers in California because I'd like to stay local, and came across Dorothea Puente, and it drew me in. She was such a colorful, bizarre character and had this just amazing kind of life in a sense. I mean, besides, if you take out the murdering people, she really was, a tough lady who overcame so
Yes.
many things and became successful. If once you add the killing, she's kind of an evil, bad person. But, there were elements in her that I'm like, okay, this is an interesting cinematic character. And then started writing that with Sharon Stone in mind. And budget wasn't a thought, wasn't any of those things. Normally I write these things, we have to make them for a nickel, but this one was kind of like free flowing. My love of film noir, the story of her life is just, there's so much to go by, and kind of making her a femme fatale was my main inspiration. And then, got it to Sharon Stone. Sharon Stone liked the script. We were kind of going in that direction. And then it just kind of got, well, you've got to talk to my manager. You've got to talk to my agent. You've got to iron out all these things of, multi-million-dollar budget. And it just got kind of annoying to me because I prefer, being my own boss. If I like something in a script, I shoot it. I do whatever I want. That's not to say I don't take input from others, but it was something that I saw a direction of it going that I wouldn't be comfortable doing. And so I just made, or we were actually shooting Ed Kemper, and Susan Prever, knocked me out on that film. She was just so good. And I said, hey, Susan, check out this script. Let me know what you think of the role of Dorothea. And she loved it, and, said immediately yes. And, we were off and running.
Oh my goodness. Susan Prever, she did really, really well, and I'm glad to see her in Dorothea again. Um, after seeing her in Ed Kemper. We're going to talk about her a little bit later, but this story is the latest in a Dread series of true crime people. How did you approach Dorothea differently, or did you approach it differently than the other true crime films that you've done?
Yeah, it was just kind of going in a completely different direction. I wanted to make something, stylistically completely different from the other two, and breaking the fourth wall and the voiceover and all these other things that just fit it so well kind of took control. And it definitely had a more upbeat kind of sensibility than the other two films, and it was just a blast to make and a blast to kind of go in a different direction style wise that I was really excited to tackle. And everyone from Dread to the actors to ever loved the script, and we're all on board with it. And it was a really smooth sailing production.
Colorful and upbeat are definitely how I would describe this movie. But again, we're talking about true crime serial killers. These are real people. And lately, there have been a lot of different films coming out about serial killers and a lot of backlash with people saying, "Oh, you're glorifying this. You're sexifying these terrible, terrible people." Was there any, did you get any pushback at any point, or are you expecting any, or is this just like it's it's bright and cheery enough that maybe we can get past that?
Well, I think it paints. I try to paint the victims and the killer and all those things with an equal brush, so you kind of see both sides of it. And the fact that Dorothea, is telling us her story from her deathbed. I mean, she died in prison. I mean, it's there's definitely no glamorizing dying in prison or a life sentence or the electric chair or whatever it might be. Or the case of Willie Pickton. I mean, he got bludgeoned to death, somewhat recently. So I mean, they eventually all get their comeuppance. So to me, it's just people are interested in the subject matter, and people, I hate to say it. I mean, it would be considered ghoulish for me to make these things, and I consider it ghoulish for people to be watching these things. So they're all kind of messed up in one way, shape, or the other. And I look at it this way: if someone comes in and murders me right now, by all means, tell my story. I give full. I'm not going to, be crying in my grave that someone, made fun of me or didn't tell my story correctly or made it more cinematic and flourished my, lifestyle or anything about me that's, may not be on, out there for people to learn. We're not making a docudrama. It's taking elements of the true story and these characters and kind of melding them into something that's not only entertaining, informative, and, love it or hate it. I think if people are interested in true crime, then they start looking up Dorothea and they're like, oh, they got that right, or why didn't they do that, or certain things. So it puts you down a rabbit hole of at least you're interested in what happened or what happened, the time period or certain things that are intriguing to the audience.
Do you have a preference on tone? Do you like your true crime more mm, happy like Dorothea, or do you like it more, oh, this is very bad, like Ed Kemper?
I think I just go with each killer, I should say, and how they kind of did it. Like we're doing Richard Ramirez next, and that is the darkest, most terrifying thing I've ever
I'm
written.
sure.
Have nightmares. It was really the hardest, most disgusting thing I've ever written.
I guess
And
it sort of depends on the person. I don't know if you can make Richard Ramirez happier. I'm not sure you could do that.
I tried. There's no, there's no happy in it.
So you said if someone were to come up and, do you off right now, what what would you like have your how would you want your story told? Same kind of question. What kind of vibe are we
Uh,
for
I
here?
guess I leave that up to the artist. I don't, put restrictions on it. It's one of those things I really don't care. And I hope
Okay.
that, like they say, the families of the victims. Well, where were the families when they were homeless and, destitute and all these things that it's like, you only care now that the person's gone and there might be a way to profit. I mean, I hate to put it that way, but there's certain things that if someone's down on their luck and they're living in a boarding house and they're getting poisoned, and then you don't try to find out what happened. I mean, they don't. The social worker broke the case, not her family. I mean, that's what kind of brought the whole thing under investigation. And it's just for me dying. I mean, I don't. Once you're gone, you're gone. I mean, I don't think in any way, shape, or form, I spit on the graves of any of the victims or that kind of stuff. I try to be honest and tell the story, in a as truthful as I can, and at the same time make something that's entertaining. I mean, that's the whole point. And I think what makes it so fun to watch is Susan's interpretation of it, and she just has a lot of fun with it. And the talking to the camera is a big thing that gets kind of the audience not only, I don't want to say rooting for her, but they're kind
Yeah.
of, they they're like, hey, this chick's fun and tough, and they kind of like, those are inspiring attributes. Even if you're a cold-blooded rotten person, you're like, well, I can respect that you got up each day, you worked hard, you got it done. And there are certain things, even on the worst, even on Richard Ramirez. I mean, look, he loved horror movies. He was a big fan of the show Dark Shadows. I'm a big fan of Dark Shadows. So there's certain things that you're like, you can relate to these awful people and kind of humanize them, because we're all good or bad human in the end. So I think there's something that we can all relate to in that aspect.
Yeah, I will say I must admit I was rooting for her a little bit. I'm like, man, if she could just get it together, she could be this great business lady. She could do it. She could get out of this. I'm rooting for her. But she can't stop killing. She can't stop. And I get it. On some level, I get it. In some respect, is a victim herself. She does have her own traumas, but that doesn't mean you get to go kill people. That's illegal. We can't do that. How how did you make this movie cinematography wise? It's pretty easy, I would think, to make something bright and cheery when it's based in California. I'm sure that's fairly easy. Cali is a pretty nice place. Was there anything you did specifically with your cameras, your setup, your locations? Were you looking for something that also fit that bright, cheery tone, or did
Um,
it just end up that way?
for me, it's just kind of, picking locations that, like the house, their boarding house was a great one because it had most of the props and most of the furniture that was period correct, and the people who were running it were fantastic. And they're like, oh, you want to dig up our yard? Sure, go ahead. And so you look at five other places and they're not as friendly, and then you got to bring, so it kind of, and this, like, this kind of looks like the house. So it's just kind of fate, I like to say, or what you come across that fits right, and the comfort of not only the filming there, but the getting the equipment there, getting setting up there, staying there for a week of doing 10 pages a day, and whatever is the least stressful. I kind of am elastic in that artistic thing of where, if this is more comfortable cost wise, production wise, and all these things, then that's the winner. And I go with it instead of saying, no, it's got to be in Sacramento at the exact house, paying, 10 times what we normally would be paying, and putting people in hotels. And it just doesn't become feasible. And I just kind of go with the route of less resistance, I guess, would be the best way of doing it with my films. Or if you have an actor who's great, like Brandon, well, he's not 6'9", but he's with lifts, and he's 6'4", and then if we try to shoot him so he's taller and then get shorter actresses, it's kind of compromising certain things to make it work, instead of saying, oh, forget it, he's not 6'9", we're not going to do it, or someone's going to complain about that, or I just kind of do the best I can with what I got and hope it finds an audience.
So tell me about working with Susan Prever. How was that?
Oh, I mean, she's, I guess we've done like, this would, Dorothea would have been the fifth film that we've done together,
My
and
gosh, okay.
it keeps getting better and better. I mean, she, if she, especially if she likes the script and the character, we'll have a few discussions about what any changes she might have, and then it's like, oh, that sounds good, change it, whatever. And then I always just say, surprise me on set, and we'll see what if it works. And she surprised me; it was fantastic, and every day was a joy to watch her work.
Now, along with Susan, you had a few other bigger names there too. How did everyone work together? Did everyone like the story? What was that like?
Yeah, no, everyone loved it. I mean, Brink Stevens was great. I first worked with her on Ed Kemper, and asked her to come back, and she was like, no problem. Ginger Lynn I had worked with before, or Lou Temple, Robert Miano. I mean, all these people I kind of have a shorthand with as well, and it's fun just kind of bringing them all back, and it's like a family reunion barbecue, and you just you just have a good time.
What was your favorite scene to shoot?
Wow. Oh man.
Well,
Uh,
okay, two questions. What was your favorite scene to shoot, and what was your favorite scene to watch as a viewer?
let's see. My favorite scene to shoot was probably uh, burying Chief when Ezra Buzzington, who's great, and I've worked with him before, and again, fantastic to reunite. And just when he was getting buried alive, it was, you know, no actor wants dirt thrown in their face, but he's like,
Right.
if you do it, I'll do it. So I was, shoveling dirt in his face, and we had a thing of he would give like a thumbs up. That's enough. I'm choking or whatever, and I was waiting for that thumbs up and just kept throwing dirt. Then he gets out and he's covered in dirt, and he's it's coming out of his nose, his ears, and and he just had a big smile, gave me a hug, and things like that are just was a real joy to shoot and just be with him. Actors you've worked with before, and you have kind of this relationship, even though it's been a few years since we'd seen each other. And bringing him back, it just is like an old friend, and working with him, and he did an amazing job. As far as I guess my favorite scene in the film is when she's gliding down the thing, and all their hands are coming out.
Yes.
That was from that point, and then into the song and the spinning camera. That's my favorite moment in the watching the film.
Okay, okay. How many shovels of dirt are we talking about here?
I guess it was probably 10.
10? Oh, I have no frame of reference for what that could feel like, so 10's a good number. That's a good number.
No, it's getting on his chest, his face, there's all these things of burying someone. It's kind of, I mean, that's a great thing about filmmaking. You're kind of transported not only into 1980 with the wardrobe and the cars and all this stuff, but you're, burying someone alive. I mean,
Yeah.
things that, I've, in films that have inspired me that you're like kind of imitating, whether it's Robert Aldrich with Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, or Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte, this kind of gothic kind of feel. There were moments in this that had that, and for me, that's a great thing to kind of have a noir filmmaking experience within a modern film. For me, is fantastic.
So, Dorothea, as I was saying before, she herself is both a victim and a villain. She is most definitely shaped by her trauma. Was there any kind of message that you wanted to express through this movie about, oh, how, trauma can do all these things? Or was it just, this happened to her and then she ended up killing people?
Well, I think that, excuse me, I think that's a good point, is that she really overcame her trauma. And I think, we all can relate to that. And there's certain things that you can either, in my case, make films and have a career that you really love doing, or in her case, kill people for profit. And I think, that's again the wrong thing. But I think people, whether it's a journalist or whether it's, an architect or someone, can pull inspiration from the worst things in their life, and either help them in their work or their personal lives or whatever it is, and use that what is a negative as a positive. And I think, in a sense, if she would have had maybe painting or some kind of, or would have just stuck to gardening and growing these great gardens without bodies under them, it would have been a whole different outcome. But
It would
I
have.
can't explain why people do the things they do. I mean, there's so many things that, if Ted Bundy wouldn't have killed women and became a lawyer, I mean, there's many things that some of these people are so smart and gifted in a sense, but there's something missing that allows them to do these heinous acts. And I know one of these days, or one of these films, maybe we'll click the right thing of, oh, that's why they're doing it, and we solve all these problems.
Do you think that Dorothea challenges how people think about serial killers? Because again, she's a grandma. She's not gonna hurt nobody, but actually that happens. It happens. Do you think this your film will change anyone's ideas about this?
Oh, maybe. I mean, I think it's anything when you see, you should never judge a book by its cover, and I think that's the perfect. She's the perfect example of, someone who looks kind on the outside might have well spoken about certain things and draw you in. It's like always kind of, why is she being so nice? Kind of, second guess your instincts in a way to make sure you're doing the right thing by having a drink with Dorothea. But I think it's anything. It's always judge people on their character, or their actions, or certain things, or even their films. I mean, I get so many, you know, Ed Kemper got a lot of negative, threatening reviews and emails and things, and all my films do. Whereas Dorothea so far has been very positive, so I maybe it will have a positive effect on people the way.
Whatever positive means, because that can mean different things. Can you tell me about working with Epic Pictures and Dread? Because I have no idea what that's like. Obviously, I just review their movies and I love
Oh,
them. But
they've been
what's it like being in your shoes?
they've been really fantastic. I've dealt with a lot of distributors over the years, some good, some not so good, and I've got to say they're top notch. I mean, the team is so on it. I mean, when it comes to, every week before the film comes out for almost a month, we have a weekly Zoom meeting to talk about my ideas or their ideas or whatever marketing I might come up with or whatever. I mean, they're really, when it comes to social media and all that stuff, they're on the ball of getting the film out there, getting the word on it, getting, buzz going, sending it to people like you, and, getting just an energy behind it. And I think that's really important for any independent film. A lot of distributors will just, throw it out there. If it does well, great. And then whatever, but they get behind it 100%, put money behind it. They're very communicative. They're very open to my suggestions. I mean, I'm really happy to be working with them. I mean, I can't say that with all distributors, but I can definitely say I'm very happy we came together and we're doing, the Night Stalker together. So, they're great.
Oh, I can't wait to see the Night Stalker one. I cannot wait. It's gonna be so good. But I can certainly echo your thoughts on working alongside Epic and Dread. I don't officially work with them, but I get their screeners and things, and they've all been, everyone I talk to is very nice, and I do love their movies, and I see all their, they're out and about in social media, and I love that. So I can certainly say the same. They are a nice crew.
No, definitely. I mean,
And
and that's the thing of finding not only a distributor that likes your films and are going to get behind it and do all this stuff, but at the same time, Patrick called me up the other day and said, "Hey, what do you think of doing this serial killer? Do you have any ideas?" And I'm like, "It's funny you mentioned that guy because someone just sent me a script and or a treatment. I can't remember because I get a lot of spam and a lot of weird emails of cast me or do composers and whatnot. And I remembered the name of the killer and I got the script, sent it to Patrick. Now they're looking at it with notes and whatever. And I'm going back to this other writer who I've never met, but he sent me the script and now it's kind of coming to life. And how many distributors do that? It was really just kind of one of those things that you can just kind of chat back and forth and say, "Hey, what do you think of doing this serial killer?" And I'm like, "Sure, why not?" You
I
look them up and you're like, "That's some messed up stuff," and it's just kind of a good time. I'm actually very happy and thrilled to be working with them, and that's it gets as good as it gets.
I love that. It's really nice seeing uh, independent filmmakers being propped up in this way, and it's even nicer to have distribution companies that seem excited for your next work. That's the best part.
That really makes a huge difference. It's one thing to pick up a film and to put it out there and to do all this, but to continue that relationship and try to, make advancements, whether it's in budget or a bigger film or whatever it might be, is exciting, and to grow with them and make different films and whatever is it's great.
All right, last question. Dorothea is streaming now. It's on VOD. Is there anything else you would want us to know about watching it? Why should we watch it?
I think because it's, look, if she's a very interesting character, it's a fun, easy watch. There's nothing, that's I hate to say, Ed Kemper can be a little off-putting with certain audiences and a little
Yeah.
disturbing. Not to say that her kills are any less disturbing, but I think they're kind of told in more of again, a film noir kind of style, and something that's more grand guignol, or fun would be the word that seems to be coming a lot of reaction from the audiences. They were laughing when they were supposed to, they were cheering when they were supposed to, when they it just kind of hit the right beats of a film that makes it completely different from most true crime, but at the same time, in the heart, it tells the story, and you get a sense, a feel for the victims as well. It's not just, someone comes in and they're poisoned and drop dead. You get to kind of see a sliver of each person and kind of get a feel for them, where you feel bad that they got killed and you whatever. And then you can look up the actual Ben Fink, or, Leona Carpenter, or, these people, and how they looked and how they lived and what happened, which poisons killed them. I mean, those are interesting things when you tackle true crime and know that this is a real person that died, and it makes that person live on, because if some guy dies in the corner in a car accident, no one will ever remember this. No one will ever know. If someone's murdered by some homeless guy, it just kind of goes away. But a film, love it or hate it, true crime especially, it brings up these victims, and you're able to they live on in a sense. That's why I kind of say, if I did die and was in a film that was popular and they depicted me in whatever way, people are then interested, and they're like, hey, he used to be a director. Look at these films he made. And I live on forever and ever and ever. And that's kind of a neat thing. So, I love the film or hate the film. I think at least you'll be interested enough to research Dorothea Puente. And I think that's a win for everybody.
And that's a wrap. Thank you so much to Chad for coming to talk all things Dorothea with me. If you haven't seen it yet, it's currently out on VOD, and trust me, you'll want to see it. You will not look at a sweet old lady the same again. Don't forget to check out my review, and if you're looking for any other news, booze, and reviews, you can find all that on letstalkterror.com. And until next time, stay spooky and beware of friendly landlords.